Adaptation Fund, the Yimishiro Japamalomia. Chura, Doctor, Lolumia, about Yimishiro. Sara, Doctor, I Yimaba and Miauni.
Kim Ma-chu begins and ends each day fetching water from a pond. She spends an hour and a half every morning and every evening fetching water for drinking, cooking, and bathing. Here, water is precious and scarce. She lives in the Dry Zone of Myanmar. She lives in Popokan, a village in the township of Chao, in the center of the Dry Zone. Chao means dry in Burmese. Here, villagers spend 3 hours every day collecting water for their families and livestock. 34% of Myanmar's population lives in the dry zone. Water's scarce, vegetation cover is thin, and the soil is severely eroded. In some villages, the underground water contains salt and can't be used for drinking or agriculture. Ever since Do Khin Ma-chu remembers, water has been scarce. Most houses have traditional systems for collecting and saving rainwater, and farmers plant crops that do not need much water, like pulses and groundnut. However, over the past decades, the climate of Chao has gotten worse. It rains even less. The dry season has become longer. Heat has increased, and the monsoon comes later and ends earlier. Droughts that ravage crops are more common. Extreme weather events such as intense rainfall, cyclones, or droughts are on the rise. The world's climate is changing, and it is affecting the people of the dry zone of Myanmar. Less rain means that water sources dry faster, and people spend more time and money looking for water. Popokan's pond fills during the rainy season and serves as the village's main water supply for the rest of the year. During the dry season, it often dries, and Do Khin Ma-chu needs to get water from a tube well that pumps water from the aquifer underground. Most villages only have one, and using it often comes at a price. The poorest, like Do Khin Ma-chu, often need to borrow water. Kim Ma-wang is only 5, but she is already very independent. She accompanies her mom farming, fetching wood, and collecting plums. They sell plums to be able to buy vegetables during the dry season. Seasonal vegetables and fruits, beans, and rice are at the table every day. They eat meat twice a year. It is a luxury that only few can afford. Kids love it. The family's income can hardly cope with unexpected expenses. Many farmers have seen their production drop due to lack of rain and degraded soils. They take loans from family, friends, or neighbors to cover unexpected expenses like health or children's education. Some of Myanmar's highest poverty rates are found in the rural areas. With only 16% of agricultural land properly irrigated, small-scale farmers like Sui or Do Khin Ma-chu are at the mercy of the climate. They can only farm when it rains. Most can't make a living from farming year-round. Less rain and longer dry seasons also affect other economic activities such as livestock rearing, since animals find it harder to find food. Climate information and forecast rarely reach farmers, making them unable to prepare for droughts, cyclones, or floods. To supplement his income, Mu Sui makes palm sugar. Mu Sui remembers a time when farming could sustain a family and the weather didn't disappoint. Other memories from his childhood are also absent. In 1990, 60% of the country was covered with forests. Today, only 45% of the land is forested. Myanmar's forests are deforested out of necessity. 84% of rural households have no access to electricity, and firewood is the main source of energy. But this comes at a price. Degraded soils and devastated watersheds affect the already fragile ecosystems. This, coupled with less rain and decades of inappropriate farming practices, have left the dry zone soils severely degraded. Often, farmers increase the use of chemical fertilizers to try maintaining yields. Many people, and especially the youth, have already migrated to cities or mines to find better opportunities. Some migrate only when there is no rain. Some will never come back. It's a vicious cycle that the government of Myanmar, with the support of the United Nations Development Program, is ready to break. Increasing incomes and creating jobs among Myanmar's small-scale farmers, herders, and daily laborers requires investing in irrigation, farming, livestock practices, and access to drinking water. People like Do Kim Machu and Mu Sui have little financial and technical capacity to cope with changes in climate or severe environmental degradation. For them, less rain, a late monsoon, and longer dry seasons mean reduced yields, poor quality of crops, and less income. They do not have access to modern technology and farming services. For this reason, the United Nations Development Program and the government of Myanmar have launched a program to improve water access, soil quality, rehabilitate forests, introduce drought-resilient agriculture and livestock methods, and provide farmers with timely climate information so that they can plan and sow accordingly, despite the irregular weather patterns brought by climate change. The 4-year project is known as Addressing Climate Change Risks on Water Resources and Food Security in the Dry Zone of Myanmar, and will benefit 250,000 people. It will help install small-scale water infrastructure, such as canals, community ponds, water pumps, and tube wells for drinking and irrigation. Once complete, the project will improve water supply for 280 villages during the dry season. Irrigation will allow farming even when there is no rain, making farmers less dependent on the climate. The project will build water bunds, rehabilitate watersheds, and establish agroforestry plots to increase soil fertility. It will also introduce safe processing and storage systems for crops to reduce post-harvest losses. If people are able to farm without rain, predict and prepare for disasters, or don't have to walk long distances to collect water, this could allow them to engage in more productive activities, which could increase incomes and opportunities of farming families, 61% of Myanmar's labor force. Challenges familiar to villagers like U Jiao Sao: Each day, the 67-year-old walks to the village well to fetch drinking water, but the physical demands make it difficult for a man of his age. The elderly of the village rely on the goodwill of other villagers to fetch water for them. When his wife died 8 years ago, Jo Sao spent his savings on her medical treatment. Now his daughter has the same disease, so he must earn enough for both. He used to climb palm trees, but he's too old for that now. He sharpens knives, has a small Tanaka plantation, and does everything he can. Despite the loss of his wife and loss of income, Jo Sao carries on. In fact, he is a pioneer, having built a tube well on his own land after borrowing $200. He uses the tube well to water his new vegetable garden. So far, he is the only one in the village with such a garden. He collects cow dung from the road to use as manure and is planning to plant onions next year. Giving farmers access to water and resistant crops for home gardens and fields is key. UNDP and the government of Myanmar intend to empower farmers by providing them knowledge, resources, and tools to ensure water access, good harvests, healthy cattle and ecosystems, despite the impacts of a changing climate.
UNDP စီမံကိန်းကိုဒါကျွန်တော်အောင်မြင်အကောင့်ထဲပေါ်နိုင်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီစီမံကိန်းကာလ3နှစ်တာကာလအပြီးမှာတစ်တော်တစ်ပင်တွေပြန်လဲစိမ်းလန်းဆိုပြီးလာမယ်။တောက်သုံးရည်နဲ့စိုက်ပျိုးရေးအလုံးလောက်ရရှိလာနိုင်မယ်။နောက်တစ်ခါလူတွေရဲ့တမူအန်းကြောင်းအတွက်မွေးမြူနည်းစနစ်တွေစိုက်ပျိုးနည်းစနစ်တွေမွေးမြူတိရစ္ဆာန်တွေမျိုးကောင်းမျိုးသန့်တွေကိုဖြန့်ပံ့ပိုးပေးနိုင်မယ်။ရာသီဥတုပြောင်းလဲနိုင်တဲ့ပြောင်းလဲတဲ့အချက်တွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့သတင်းချက်လက်တွေကိုအလင်းမြန်ပံ့ပိုးပေးနိုင်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပြည်သူလူထုရဲ့ဘဝဟာပိုပြီးလုံခြုံလာမယ်။ပိုပြီးတော့ရာသီဥတုအန်တုနိုင်တဲ့
A secure life, no longer just a dream, but a possibility. Improving access to water and farming and livestock rearing techniques gives hope to people like Jo Sao, Doki Machu, and Mu Sui, opportunities and a chance at a greener future.